Peace be with you. Hello, Soul Tribe. Thank you so much for being here. And this is Paranormal Activity, Para for Normal People. And I'm your host and creator, Lydia Velasquez. I like to start with thanking you all for your prayers. I was pretty sick for a couple days. Actually, my grandkids are still sick. They have that new ammonia that's out. I don't remember the name, but it starts with an M. I think it's Nicola pneumonia, but it's pretty bad. So please keep them in your prayers. I want to start out by thanking Donna, who was my guest of honor the other day, and thank you, sis. It was an honor and a pleasure having you on Paranormal Activity. We went through quite an experience last week, and I'm still loading the pictures because of the fact that I was not feeling very well. I wanted to make sure that I had all the pictures, and I wanted to be able to put them in the descriptions. If you want to know anything about her book, the descriptions of her website and everything that includes with the book, how to get it and how to get in touch with her, is on the descriptions that will be on the video that I'm going to post. I've been getting a lot of downloads, I guess, because I was sick and laying in bed and feverish. I was getting downloads that I presumed were from my Ark Angel Michael. It had to do with greed and money, but it also had to do with earthbound spirits. For a while now, I haven't been able to understand what my mission here was going to be, but I'm getting a lot of insight of what it should be. I know I'm a shaman. I know that I am here to heal. I know I am here to teach you all about the spiritual realm. This podcast wouldn't exist. It wouldn't even be if it wasn't for that. It also has to do with the factors that I am here to do amazing things with the king that's about to come into my life. I can't sit here and tell you that I know who he is or what we're about to do, because I have no inclination. It's a surprise to me as much as will be a surprise to you, or probably even to him. I do know that the divine has gotten me to the point where I am downloading a lot of information. I am also being prepared, more likely awakened to the factors that I am going to be doing quite a bit of amazing things. I don't see them being too much of things that I haven't done in my past. I'm a white lighter, so I am able to send earthbound spirits to the dimension that they belong in. I am a healer, so the divine uses me to heal those that are worthy of being healed. I'm also a seeker, so I have the ability to dream and define the dreams so that there are messages that I can deliver to you and to myself. I am a medium, so I could speak to earthbound spirits and to entities that are in my radius, so to speak. I am able also to foresee things that are to come, and I'm also able to read energy. So those are just 5 of the gifts that I have, but there are, how do I put it, there are many gifts that I portray, and hold. I'm awakening, so I just don't know all of them. And I'm just starting to know who I am in the spiritual realm. I have messages for you, and I'm trying to bring them into light, because there's a lot that the divine had sent Michael to me for. The first being greed. A lot of us are going through a hard time when it comes to finances. I know I am. But there's a difference between acknowledging the fact that money is important. It's a energy that we all need. We all have to find a means to survive and be stable in the factors of money. If you've heard the phrase, money is a root to all evil, that's not quite true. If greed is a part of you getting the money that you need to subside or be stable in your home front with your family and with the needs that you need to do and survive, then no, it's not. There's a lot of phrases that that have to do with money, like let it rain. That's because money is an energy of flowing like water. And there's the factors that without money you and I cannot survive. That's just reality. We, in order to have what we need, the food on our tables, the rent to pay our homes, to pay our mortgages, the means to have the things that we need in order for our family to have the comfort that they need, the things that we need to move around, the gasoline, the insurance on our cars, different things that have to be paid in order for us to survive, then that's not being greedy, that's just being realistic. We cannot survive without the means of money. But if we take it to another level where we believe that there isn't enough money in our being, that we have to have more, and we need to be greedy, and no matter what we do, we have to have enough. There's never enough, then that's greed. And the divine doesn't look good on that. Where you establish so much money that you don't give it on to other people, because giving is a means of receiving your blessings. If you are a person that would pass, for instance, there was a time where I went into a Wawa's, and there was a young lady sitting out in front of the Wawa's, and it was kind of cold outside. It wasn't the spring. It was actually the beginning of the winter. And she was sitting there, and she looked like, I was sitting in my truck, and she looked like she was very cold, and she looked like she was sitting there for quite a while. And person after person after person passed by this poor young lady, and they'd look at her, and the disgust in their face, just, to me, it seems so rude, and it just seems so non-humane. It didn't have a look of like people had any kind of heart for an individual. Now, I understand that there's a lot of individuals that just don't want to get up and get a job. I get it. I understand that there's a lot of individuals that have sicknesses like alcoholism and being drug addicts, and even sex addicts, and they don't they don't have the gusto to get up and do for themselves, and you look at them in a certain way and you say, that's a person that has some kind of strength in their body. They can get up and get a job just like you and me. But if you come to look at it, when there is sicknesses like alcoholism, or sicknesses like being drug addicts, they don't have the mentality. They don't. I don't care what anybody says. They don't have the mentality, nor do they have the stigmatism to get up and do for themselves. They are sick. They need help. And by you acting like they don't exist, that's not hurting anybody but yourself. Don't you see God sometimes puts earth angels in your path? He'll bring an angel and sit him right in front of you. And they'll look the worst. They'll look like the worst person in the world. And by you passing by that person and acknowledging the fact that they don't exist, you're not going to get anywhere. Your blessings are blocked. You are blocking your own blessings. This one individual, she was sitting out there for the longest. And I kept seeing person after person looking at her like they were disgusted. Like she had no life, like she didn't exist. So at the time I was with my husband, and he got in the truck. He said, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, I'm not. I said, do me a favor, hand me $5 from my pocketbook. And he said, what are you doing? What do you need $5 for? I said, oh, nothing. I want to do something. I want to go back into Wawa's. And he said, for what? I said, for no reason, just give me the $5. So he gave me the $5, and I went inside, and I got her a cup of coffee, and I came back outside, and I bent down to her, and she had her head down. I remember she wasn't looking at anybody or acknowledging the fact that she was there. I really saw the despair in her whole being, and it just seemed so wrong. It seems so I don't know. I'm an empathist also, so I could feel people's emotions, and I felt the depression in her. I felt like she gave up, like she didn't want to exist, like she crawled into her own skin, and she just had this aura about her that she didn't want to exist anymore. So I touched her, and I gave her the coffee. I took her hands and I put the coffee around her. And she looked up as she grabbed the coffee, and she said, thank you. And I says, you're welcome. I says, how long have you been here? And she says, I don't know. I lost track of time. I said to her, I've been sitting in front of you for almost an hour and a half. Have you been here all day? Have you eaten? She says, no. I says, look, I'm going to go back inside. What do you want to eat? Do you want a sandwich? Do you want a sub? What do you want? And she says, it doesn't matter. Anything will be good. So as I go to get up, my spirit says, tell her to stop. To stop doing what she's doing, or she will die. So I go back down and I go to her, I'm going to go back inside and I'm going to get you a sandwich. I'm going to get you something warm because it's cold out. So I'm going to get you a hoagie. I'm going to get you a cheesesteak. Is that all right? Do you want cheese on it? And she says, yeah, that's fine. I come back out. I give her the cheesesteak, and I said, you need to stop what you're doing, because if you don't, you're going to die. And she looked at me, and she stopped for a second. Now, the whole time, my husband's looking at me, and he's just, his eyes are bulging out of his head. He couldn't even believe that I was doing what I was doing. I said, do you have some place to stay tonight? She says, I can go to the shelter. I says, if I give you $10, are you going to use them for what you need to use them for? Or are you going to go get drugs? And she looked at me and she said, I'll probably go get drugs. I says, well, then I'm not going to give you any money. I says, but what I can do is take you to the shelter. I says, do you need a ride to the shelter? And she looked at me and she said, if you're willing to give me a ride, yes. I said, okay, come into the truck. So I put her in the truck. My husband now, at this point, he's looking at me like, what in the world are you doing? I said, what's your name? And she said, my name is Shelly. And I said, I'll never forget it. Because in the mannerisms that this young lady, she was dirty. She couldn't brush her teeth. You could tell that she was just not, hygiene-wise, she was not good. My husband said, what are you doing? I says, I'm giving her a ride to the shelter. He said, oh. So I gave her a ride to the shelter. As I go to the shelter, this guy's coming out of the shelter. And I said, are you a manager here? And he said, yeah. I says, if I give you $10 for Shelly, will you make sure that she gets the stuff she needs, like toothpaste, toothbrush? He says, yeah, we can do that for her. He says, but she can't stay more than one night. I said, why not? He said, because she's overrun her privileges here. She steals from people. So I looked at her and I said, you know you cannot keep doing the things that you're doing. You need to stop. Because if you don't, you're going to die. She said, all right, Lydia, I promise you, I'll behave. So I handed him the $10. I said, could you make sure that she has what she needs? I said, and here's my number. If you need me for any reason whatsoever, let me know. And he said, okay. But he looked at me like I was this Martian from outer space. So I get in the car and I'm looking at her and she's smiling at me. She had eaten, she had drank her coffee, and she still had a little bit of coffee left. And she walked up to the truck and she said, I don't know who you are. She said, but thank you. Thank you with all my heart. And I promise you, I'm going to do better. I said, okay, that's all I want. As I'm driving away, my husband said, you know what? I don't understand why you do the things you do. He says, but I'm proud of you. And I said, proud of me for what? He said, because another person would have just walked by her. He said, nobody would have gone out of their way to do the things you've done for her. He said, you took her and made her a better person today. And I just have to say I'm proud of you. See, my husband was an alcoholic. He had a lot of problems. And I guess I found myself trying to help him so many times. And I just couldn't. Because when you try to help somebody that has a sickness like alcoholism or drugs or even sexual diseases, like a sexual holic, they thrive for stuff and they don't know how to control their emotions. You try so hard to understand them. And I used to be a person that would actually sit there and say, that would never be me. I would never put up with someone's crap like that. Because you look at it through a whole different type of atmosphere. And you look at it like, because you don't understand it and you haven't lived it, you look at it like, with no acknowledgement to it. But when you live it and you actually know what it is to experience a sickness that you have no control over, it's not something that you can fix. For those of you who are going through the everyday living of having to deal with alcohol or drugs or a sexual desire beyond the norm, know this. All you have to do is ask God for help. All you have to do is find the means to get the help that you need. There are places out there that will help you. There are places out there that will give you the hand that you need. And there are places out there that will make it better for you to exist in an everyday life. Don't give up. Don't stop loving yourself. Because when you start loving yourself, you love God. And He opens up doors. He opens up mannerisms that you can go and do what you have to do. It's hard for people to understand a person that has a sickness like that, because you probably don't have one like that. You probably don't have to deal with it. But there's a lot of people out there that have a sickness that is very hard for them to deal with. There are a lot of people that don't understand it. And they ask me all the time, why did you stay so long? I mean, why did you stay in a marriage that was so harsh and so disrespectful? You stayed 10 years trying to make it right, trying to make it work. I think the answer to that was because I believed that God could help him. I believed that he was a good person inside. I saw potential in him that he didn't even see in himself. And I hoped and I prayed that he would change. But you can't make a person change. You can't stop a person from doing the drugs. You can't stop a person from wanting to be out there with different individuals. You can't stop a person from running the streets and looking for drugs or alcohol. You can't stop a person from wanting to be with more than one individual in their life. You can't. I can tell you from experience, it's the hardest way to go. And all you do is lose yourself. All you do is dig yourself into that dark hole that they are in. And you lose who you are. You stop loving yourself. And that's something that nobody should experience. No one. Because when you start giving a damn about somebody else more than you do about yourself, you lose. You lose every single time. And sometimes when you win, you lose. For those of you who've had that experience like me, and you've been fortunate enough to walk away from it, don't kick yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't think that it was your fault, that you could have done something more. Because I can tell you from experience, you can't. It's a disease that takes over the individual. And it takes over you. It takes over your livelihood. It takes over the way you live. It just runs you both into the ground. Unfortunately, I couldn't do anything for my husband. I couldn't save him. If anything, I was drowning right along with him. The only one I could save was myself. So I decided to move on. Find a better place for me. I decided that I was important. That there was nothing I could do for him except maybe walk away where he would be awakened at one point or another and notice that he lost the best thing that he ever had. He lost a beautiful home. He lost a wife that loved him beyond words. He lost the stability of being safe, having a hot meal every night. He lost the ability to have a warm bed to sleep at night, to wake up in the morning and see another day. He lost his job. He lost his marriage. and he lost me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he doesn't want to come back, because he does. But I have no more strength for it. Because all that happened between us dug me into a hole that I don't want to go back to. I have an attorney now, and she is going to make the paperwork stick so that I can get my divorce and move on with my life. And I wish him love and compassion. It wasn't that I didn't love him. It was that I loved myself a whole lot more. After 10 years of trying to save him, I lost so much behind it. I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to move on. For those of you who are dealing with people who have that type of a sickness, if you tried, if you know darn in your heart, deep down in your heart, you tried, if you know that you have gotten to the point where you were losing everything behind trying to save them, you can't do it. And you got to move. You got to go. You got to move on. Because if you don't, you're going to lose more than just the person that you love. You're going to lose yourself. And that isn't helping anybody. Another thing I wanted to speak to you about was earthbound spirits. The story that I'm about to tell you is dramatic. It's something a lot of people face every single day, and it has to do with drugs. I have a friend that called me the other day, and she was hysterical. She was crying beyond crying. I literally, her heart was so torn, and I was so very saddened by what I was hearing. But I'm going to tell you because she asked for my help, and I am about to do a video on it. 2 Saturdays ago, she came into her boyfriend's house. She was about to move in. She had some stuff over there. And she found her boyfriend lying on the kitchen floor. And he was passed. He had deceased. He had taken some drugs and died in the process, an overdose. So you see, it's dramatic no matter how you put it. With this certain situation, I told you I'm a white lighter. So she got in touch with me because she needed to ask me some questions. See, he had prior to this had talked to her and told her that he was tired, that he couldn't do it anymore, that he needed help, and he wasn't willing to go out there and get help. He actually wasn't willing to go and do anything but go get some more street drugs. So while she was at work, he went and got something, and it must have been mixed with fentanyl. And he took it, but he did it on purpose because he wanted to die. What we don't realize, and it's written in the Bible, but a lot of us don't understand it. You can't take your life. You can't willingly, knowledgeably know that whatever you're about to do is going to end your existence. Because when you do, you become earthbound. There's a lot of people that don't believe in spiritualism. There's a lot of people that don't believe that you can be stuck somewhere. But there's a lot of things that happen when your spirit stops to exist in the vessel that we have, and you caused it. The spirit can't move on. If you die with any kind of substance in your body, where you're drunk or you're high, you stay. If you die where you're dramatically put in shock and you don't understand you're dead, you stay. If you take your own life, it's not yours to take. You stay. If you are, in a sense, taking a risk and knowing that in your heart you can die from it, you are staying. If you owe someone something that's called unfinished business, you are staying. Now, she asked me several questions, and she asked me if he was going to heaven when God came. I wanted badly to tell her yes, but in all reality, he's not going to go to heaven. He's going to go to another dimension, because he had taken his life, and it's not yours to take. God gives us the ability to be here, and we have business to take care of here. And if we don't finish the business that we take care of here, by going into the light, all you're doing is being reincarnated, because you have to finish what you'd started. So in other words, if you think you're going to do something else, go somewhere else to a better place, you're not. You have to finish what you started. You have to learn the karmic lessons that you were put here on earth to do. If not, you stay. You're stuck. The other night, it was actually last night, she called me and she texted me and she said that, and I'm going to post a picture. I'm still trying to figure out more or less how to post these pictures that I have, because I have several pictures that they have storylines to them, and I want to be able to post them because they're testimonies to the things that I'm talking about. She sent me a picture of her blanket, and on the blanket it said, "I love you." And she asked me if that was him. And I told her yes. And she said, "Why is he saying this?" And I said, well, for one, he's never stopped loving you. He loves you. He's always going to love you. That's not the reason he took his life. He took his life out of depression, and because the drugs were so intense that he couldn't overcome the feeling of wanting to do more and more drugs. And so she said, "So you mean to tell me he still feels the emotions that he felt when he was living?" And I said, yes, absolutely. The vessel that we hold is just a vessel. It has nothing to do with the spirit. The spirit that's inside has all kind of emotions, and they don't stop existing once you are gone. The vessel is gone, but the spirit lives on. I tried to explain to her that he needed to go to the light. Now, I'm going to go to the house where he had taken his life, and I'm going to go with her, and I'm going to do a video on the whole session, and I'm hoping that I can send him to the light. Some spirits are just so dramatically entwined that they just can't move on. And she asked me 2 or 3 questions about if God came, would he go? Of course he's going to leave if Jesus comes back. When he comes back, it's not an if. When he comes back, of course he's going to leave. But to actually sit there and be able to answer her question to where he's going, I don't have any inclination. See, once you're gone, once you commit a sin, as far as to take your own life, you stop all timing of being forgiven. You stop all connection with the divine to be able to ask for forgiveness, because you've done something that's totally unforgivable. Nobody has a right to take their lives. It's not yours to take. What can happen is that he can go to the light instead of going home to the universe and have to repeat his karmic lesson and come back again and repeat whatever lesson he has to repeat. So I'm going to try to get with her this week and go to the house where he passed away and see if I can send him to the light. I know he's not at peace, and she asked me that if he was at peace, and I said no, he's not. He wouldn't be restless right now. He wouldn't be leaving you messages and trying to get in touch with you. And so when that occurs, I'm going to post that video. In the meantime, my friends, be aware of so much in this life that can take you to the level that you don't want to be in. Greed is harsh. Like I said, money is necessary, but there's a way of acknowledging that you need money and knowing that it's important, but it's not to the point where it makes you greed, makes you want to have more and more and more. Greed is a sin. If you acknowledge the fact that you need to make the money that you need to make, if you are aware to the fact that money is needed, but it's not to the point where it makes you or breaks you, if you acknowledge the fact that when you make money, it's better to give than to receive, then you are in the stableness of making your money. Be aware, my friends, that being caught up in this world and the things of the world, drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex. Sex is meant for two people that love each other. It's a commitment to two people that are committed to each other, not to everybody that you can touch. Everyone you sleep with and then bring it back to your partner, you're sleeping with all these people and your partner is doing the same. We have to be acknowledging the fact and being aware of the fact that the things we do here on earth, you pay here on earth. I hope this resonates with someone, because this message was specific. The download was specific this morning. And it was meant to be given to someone in regards to money and in regards to drugs substance. And those two things, I don't know if they're combined or if they're separate for two different people. But they're a message that had to be said. So be very aware of the fact that you need your money, of the fact that you have to make your money, but don't be overwhelmed with being greedy with it. You have to give in order to receive your blessings. And the second thing is, be very aware of the vices of this world. If you're drinking over excessively, if you're gambling over excessively, if you're out there having more than one partner, if you're out there smoking weed over excessively, if you're out there stealing, robbing, hurting, if you're out there not acknowledging the fact that people need. This world is very ugly today. It's just going to get uglier. We have to be united in a fellowship. We have to be acknowledgeable that this isn't it. This is just openings to the next level. And if you want to be with those people that love you, with your ancestors, with your family members that have gone on to be with God, if you want to go and be at peace, then you have to be aware of the way you're living today, what you're doing here, what it means to be correct, how to walk straight and narrow. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. Lord knows I try every day to be a better person, to be pure at heart. It's a hard task. Some people try you. It's a hard task because you have needs. And vices are real. Trust me. They can overwhelm you. But there's a reason why we are given the tasks that we are given. There's a reason why God calls upon His chosen ones. Being a chosen one is a hard road to go to. We're always looked at like if we're not worthy. We're always looked at like if we're not the best. You're the black sheep of the family. You go through a lot. Your heart is broken a lot. You lose a lot. You can't see beyond the pain sometimes. But being a chosen one, we're given the opportunity to make things right for others. It's a blessing being a chosen one. We're gifted. And being gifted is beyond amazing. I'm grateful to God every single day. When I wake up and I open my eyes, I'm grateful for the simple fact that I can touch and I can do for people that can't do for themselves. I'm grateful to being the person that I am, that I have the gifts that I have. Because I am one of those people that will always have just enough. Might not have everything I need, but I have just enough to get me by. And with that, I'll leave you. And I want to say thank you for all your support, for all your prayers. Thank you for all your love. And thank you for always being here and listening to the messages that the divine has for you. May the universe give you what you deserve. And may God bless you with every move you make. Remember, know who you are.